Hello and welcome to another freezing episode. So I'm down in the basement. It is like -10 outside. We don't really have the basement heated, so it's a little chilly. So anyway, I picked up this very sad Nintendo son of a bitch. I said Nintendo. I picked up this neglected Nintendo Entertainment System. Is it extremely dirty? I'll bring you in for a closer look in a bit, but I'm going to show you exactly how to clean a pretty much unusable Nintendo without replacing the 72-pin connector and without disabling the lockout chip. Those two things are 99.9% of the time avoidable. So you shouldn't have to replace the 72-pin connector. You shouldn't have to cut out your lockout chip and disable it. You just have to clean it properly. And I'm gonna go through my, procedure on taking this non-functional Nintendo that's been through hell and making it work like new with some proper cleaning and maintenance. So let's take a look at it and see what we can find inside and see how bad this thing really is. Let's check it out. Okay, so here she is, or here he is. I'll give a quick tour of the outside here. It's super dirty. We have some cigarette burns. That's always classy with the burnt cigarette spots on there. It's really grimy. So I did try a game in this, and it was not happening no matter what I did to it. And you just get the classic light flashing. But this is it. It's very dirty, very beat up. Actually, the nice thing about this, there's no broken plastic. Sometimes you'll have corners that are chipped or whatever, but this is pretty much dirty. The only bad thing about it, really, is that stupid cigarette burn on the top. So we'll be checking this out. We'll check the controller ports to make sure those are not corroded. We'll test them, see if they're working. And yeah, it does have the expansion port cover still. One thing I did notice about this system that I haven't seen before is we have a Nintendo of America stamp on the inside. I couldn't find much online what that meant, really. This is probably a serviced Nintendo, you know, a machine someone probably sent in to be repaired and they stamped it before they shipped it back. But that's all I can think of. And there's some nasty corner dirt in there too. So yeah, this little thing has had some mileage put on it. So let's crack it open and see what's inside of this beast. I know there's probably 150,000 plus videos online on how to clean these things, but my motto is don't replace the 72-pin connector, repair it or clean it properly. And if you do that, then you also do not have to disable your lockout chip unless you're, you know, literally playing pirated games that will not work otherwise. But I don't like messing with original equipment. I like everything to be just as it was when I when it was first made, unless of course you're doing some kind of fancy mod, but whatever. Yeah, so basically what I'm saying is cut the crap with the 72-pin connector replacements, unless the pins are literally blown out of the thing, and stop cutting pins off of ICs on the circuit board. That's just how I see it. I guess I'm a purist, but whatever. Okay, and now time for the reveal. What do we have here? We have some spiderweb action, but that's normal to see. These things are over 30 years old now, so not a surprise. It smells of cigarette smoke. It's got a lot of, you know, dirt and dust in there, pretty heavily. We'll take off the shield and see what else we have under this beast. There's the RF shield removal. That looks like, oh, it does kind of look like it's like milk or something spilled in there. I don't know if you can see that. I'm sure you can. Look at that. Pretty gross. And oh yes, we have some hairy bits. And I can tell you right now, that 72-pin connector looks awful. It's super corroded. See all that green? That is really bad. I'll take that off and give you a closer look, but those pins are destroyed. As in being corroded. I'm sure we can clean that corrosion off. And I'm extremely positive that we can, you know, use the same connector. Just clean it and it'll work properly. So now I'll remove the eject tray here. Sometimes they are different colors, but these silver ones you see here, the silver ones right here, and on the other side, this guy, those are longer. Sometimes they're gold, sometimes they're silver, but just make sure you keep those separate because they're their own length, as you can see, compared to the other ones. Here's the eject mechanism. It looks pretty good on the bottom. On the top, it's super dirty. We even have some like, I don't know if that's rust or like, must be rust, but it looks like chocolate cake. All right, and then we'll pull up the main board. Out of here, and we just have to make sure that we unplug and remember where our controllers go. So right here is the front of the console, and that's player 1. So that's easy to remember. The first in line is player 1. The one up front is the first player. And second player plugs in on the side here. I just kind of lift up this RF shield and pull that out. probably take off this RF shield, it'll make it easier. You can just kind of guide it over the wires like that. And then we can pull this out. Just like that. And there's our shield for the bottom. I'll just put that to the side. Here is our bottom shell. Classic gunk and stuff in there. Alright, so this is the main board here. This side looks good. It's the bottom side. There's no real corrosion or anything. We do have some fuzz around the channel switch. You know, you can just take like a dry toothbrush and just kind of dust that off. So yeah, you can hold the board like this, keeping your fingers on the edge of the RF adapter here, and say your index on the corner of this side of the main board. You don't want to grab underneath here because you may bend components. Like if you grab it funky, you could bend some of these capacitors and stuff and snap them off, and we don't want to do that. So we're just basically grabbing the edge and then using our thumb to just push off the 72-pin connector. Like that. And now we can see where that connects. It needs a little cleaning, but nothing major. Check the other side. It's a little shady. Not horrible. And this is gonna be the main issue with this Nintendo. And I'll show you again if I can get this to focus. That connector is crazy corroded. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There's got to be over 20 pins that I can see there that are just corroded. Even one of the top pins here, you see that one that's kind of blue? That's corrosion as well. So we're going to use my old corrosion removing trick that I did with the Super Nintendo controller port video. We'll be using CLR to clean the corrosion off of these pins. But right now, what I'm going to do is we're going to take all these shell parts here, and this dirty beast, what we'll do is I'm literally going to give these a bath with some soap and water, and we're going to clean the bejesus out of them. So I'll clean those up, and then I'll show you the results of the finished product. So there's a shot of the top. And a shot of the bottom. And one last quick thing I wanted to note too, if you're like following along with this video, we're going to want to remove the power switch and reset switch. Also, we want to remove the controller ports before we submerge this and clean it in water. So I'm going to do that now real quick. You just have these two screws for the reset and power button. We're going to keep these separate. And this simply lifts up, back a little bit, and then that just comes out. And then we can wash these buttons up. Just put those off to the side. Controller port. That's these two screws on the bottom. And these just push out, like so. Get this cover off. And then these just push through the front. Like that. Number 2. Number 1. If you want, you can label these. But the player 1 controller has a much shorter cable on it because it connects right to the front. The player 2 connects on the side. So okay, bath time. Okay, so I cleaned the shell. They're still drying a little bit, but it's definitely an improvement here. You can see it looks much cleaner now. The cigarette burn on top. Oh, the ashes are actually melted into the plastic there, so that's too bad. I was careful about the Nintendo of America seal there. I wanted to kind of save that. So it's just gentle washing it. So yeah, that's the top shell, the bottom shell. I put the electronics back in already. That's basically just, feeding your controllers back in there, screwing it down. Same with your power and reset button. But yeah, that's looking better. We have some, what looks like, it might look brownish on the gray, but it's yellowing. It's the plastic. Because of its age, it'll yellow. These parts are nice and clean now. I did my metal pieces as well. I figured why not. I dried them right away with a towel. We're just gonna let all this stuff air dry while I work on the rest of this. So here's the main board. We have some dust. There's nothing like really dirty about this. So what I'm going to do, because all these little pins, they're basically the bottom side of your ICs and components. They all stick up, so when you're trying to wipe it down with a rag or whatever, they get caught. So I take a toothbrush, and what I do is I use this. This is actually a old bottle for some fingernail polish remover. So I empty that out, and what I do is I put my denatured alcohol in these containers because they work pretty well. So yeah, I just put some denatured on a toothbrush here, and then I just do one of these to get rid of the dust and dirt. And I use denatured alcohol because it evaps fairly quickly, and I'm just dusting this board right now. I'm not planning on doing anything else. And when you're using denatured, just keep in mind that if there's any markings on the board that you want to keep there, it probably will rub it off, like anything that's marker, Sharpie, stickers, like the NTSC sticker will probably be damaged if you hit it with denatured alcohol. So I'm just going lightly in here to dust. But I'm using denatured just so it's damp. The dust will stick to the liquid. pretty quickly. I mean, this board looks pretty good, surprising, compared to what the outside looked like. Yeah, that's about it. I'll go around the RF connections, the composite video, just to clean it up some. Head off to the side. The connection here looks pretty clean. I'll probably wipe it down with some denatured on a rag. I'll take a rag here. Just gonna put it on the corner. Put the cap back on my alcohol because I don't want to spill it. And I'll just go along the edge to clean it up. Yeah, I use denatured now instead of the isopropyl, only because denatured dries much quicker. So yeah, that's probably good enough. This board's ready, as I see it anyway, to be used. It's sparky clean. It's been dusted. We'll have to just test it after I fix that 72-pin connector. So let's move on to that next. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is use CLR for dealing with that corrosion issue on the pins here. So my plan to fix this little guy is intensely corroded, just causing it not to work. That's the main problem there, unless there are capacitor issues, but I doubt it. So CLR, yep, it's going to help us get rid of that corrosion. So this stuff's pretty corrosive in itself when it deals with cleaning things up, so I'm going to use some fancy rubber gloves to keep my hands safe, or somewhat safe. Ooh. What I did is I grabbed a clamshell from like, well, these were butter croissants. So I'm just going to use this as a tray to keep the CLR in, and for me to soak that 72-pin connector and clean it up some. So they say you can use this diluted or not, and I always use this at its full strength, so I'm not going to dilute it at all. So here's our connector. This is the cartridge section, which is the part that's mainly corroded. The bottom motherboard connection pins, those look clean. But we have some corrosion back in here, and especially on those pins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some CLR in there, just enough to get over this lip right here. Just going to dump it right on there. And we're going to agitate back and forth. We're just going to agitate it. Just want that CLR to get in there and do its thing. You probably want to be in a well-ventilated area. I'm going to make it, I'll let it soak there actually for a minute. Now that I've agitated it, I'll just use the cap as a little kickstand here, just so it gives us a deeper end of the pool, so to speak. We'll let that cartridge connector soak in there for a couple minutes, and then we'll continue on. I'll probably give it maybe 10 minutes in the bath, and then we'll pull it out and continue cleaning it. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, so this has been soaking for about 10 minutes or so. I just keep moving it, draining it out and sticking it back in. Draining it out, agitating it. Drain it out. Let's take a look. And that's pretty sweet. This totally works, and I discovered this just, testing different things and washing with different chemicals, but it clicked one day that the CLR is actually made for cleaning corroded pipes and sinks and all that. So these pins being metal, it only made sense. So take a peek at this. The corrosion is going away on that, and I haven't even scrubbed with any toothbrush or anything. So I'm going to say the CLR has done its job for the most part. So I'm going to go in with my toothbrush here. Just give it a little brushing. Kind of working it in and out like that will help too. You don't want to get the shit all over the place because it's pretty bad for you, or pretty much any living thing, to be honest with you. I'm just kind of sticking the bristles into the connector right in the front for now, just to give it a basic wipe off. Doesn't look bad. It looks pretty damn good compared to what it looked like before. Okay, now what I want to do is I need to put this off to the side and hopefully get the CLR back into the container. And then I'll be right back, because I don't think I can do this on camera. Okay, so the fancy part you just missed was me pouring that stuff back into the bottle. Surprisingly, I didn't spill it. And I ran upstairs and just rinsed off the CLR from this connector. And I must tell you, that looks pretty damn good right now. We can still see a little debris in there, but my next step is to use the classic Doc's Fix-A-Game kit. I mean, this came out in the 90s, and everybody these days, they're acting like the one-up card is something new and unique. Been doing this forever. And these kits still work. I mean, they'll do multiple systems. They'll clean the systems and the games. So I'm going to use these to clean out the 72-pin connector with. So yeah, basically there's your one-up card for game cartridges. It's Doc's. They've been out years before the one-up card, 1990. Anyway, I'll use this It says for the Super Nintendo on it, but I'm gonna do a manual cleaning, so I'll show you how I go about doing that. First, I'll take a sip of beer. That's most important. Okay, so this is basically going to go in to our connector. We're going to push it in, out, in, and out. Then we'll clean this, and we'll repeat. And we'll be doing this with some denatured alcohol. So I'll use my cloth again here. Get it nice and wet. I will moisten docks. Fix the system. Push it in and out. Do that all along this, along all the pins, and I can show you right now that dirt that's coming out of there is pretty intense. And I'll show you what I'll do is I'll wipe it away. So yeah, it's pretty dirty in there. Same with this side. Sorry about that. We're just going to keep doing this over and over until it looks clean. Yeah, some of those passes were getting actual like black. You can see that at the top there. And that's coming out of the 72-pin connector. So yeah, we'll just keep repeating this process until we feel it's been cleaned enough. I mean, all the pins, they still feel really nice. And it's just leaving tons of grime on here. You know, so after using the CLR and this method with the denatured alcohol, this NES, I guarantee you it's gonna work like a brand new machine. And I didn't have to replace the connector or deactivate the lockout chip, I should say. Yeah, it almost looks rusty even. I know this is boring, but I'm basically showing you my process so you people will stop ruining your Nintendos. I mean, they're not gonna make them anymore. You don't want to be moving side to side either while you're in there, because you'll bend the pins and then you'll be in all kinds of trouble. I'll probably hit the motherboard connector too, just for good measure. That's nice and solid, as it should be, because that doesn't come off ever. I'll just make a couple passes on the motherboard connection. Not bad. I'm feeling pretty good about that cartridge connection now. Let's try this off a little more. See if I can't bring you in for a closer look again. I know you're probably getting bored with looking at this over and over again, but This isn't just a sped up video for the most part. It actually takes some time to do this properly. That's why I'm not doing lots of cuts here. I mean, good luck finding a 3-minute video that's going to give you a detailed process. I just want to inform and show people how I actually do this. Keep these little suckers alive and running properly. Yeah, I take a lot of time and care, as one should. You can still see a little corrosion on those pins. Not terrible. That looks a whole lot better. Only 2 pins that are concerning me are the last 2 there. Maybe a little rusty. I'll get out my super nerd glasses and take a peek. My little loop lenses. No, they're still pretty corroded. They're definitely not as bad. Rusty a little bit rusty as well. Still feeling quite confident about it. Just gonna go in with some big guns here. I'm gonna use a piece of 2000 grit sandpaper and hit those pins. Especially the ones in the end. I'm just wrapping the 2000 grit around the Doc's Fix-A-Game kit. Same process with the 2000 grit sandpaper. Move it, get to a new section. Sweet, sassy molassy. Okay, now that we've gone through that process of cleaning the pins, you know, it takes a good probably hour, maybe 45 minutes to do a cleaning on one of these. But I guess it's going to be time to test this. So let's put it back together and get it ready for a first run test. Let's get cracking. Okay, so we're back together. Basically, we just did the reverse of the disassemble, but there it is. It's cleaned up somewhat. It looks pretty good. We've gone through the insides and dusted. We've cleaned the 72-pin connector. Given this a bath, reassembled, and now it's time for testing. So let's go do that, and hopefully this thing will be running like a brand new system, other than the little blemishes on top and the slight yellowing from age. Let's get to it. Okay, so we'll do a little test here. I have Mega Man 2, and this is my Nintendo console, my original. And I'll show you how that works. It's all cleaned. And my system usually works the first time. So this is my console here. Works nice and smooth. Now what we'll do is I'm just going to swap out the wires from my console, and we'll try the new one that's cleaned. The one with the corroded pins that are no longer corroded. And hopefully this will just fire right up. And everything should be working just fine. And it does. So no disabling lockout chips, no new 72-pin connector, just a good clean job, and it gets it back in service, and we can enjoy it for another millennia. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. And give me a thumbs up. Like the video, share it, and let people know that they don't need new parts. They just need to clean their system properly, and you'll be good to go. So until next time, we will see you later.